If you're getting into marriage and you've never read a book about sex, I don't know what you're doing. I do not know what you're doing. There are amazing books out there, and several ones from even Christian women that address sexuality, sex, and stuff like this. Like, call your vagina your vagina. Call call it that. Call it exactly what it is. Call it clitoris a clitoris. Exactly what it is. A vulva a vulva. Be able to refer to the body parts as their anatomically correct name. The fact that you were born again doesn't mean your hormones are born again. It is what you do with those feelings that matter. And that is where your faith, your boundaries, your values come in. Hello, everybody. Welcome or welcome back to a brand new episode of Dear Single Christian Girl podcast with me, KB. If this is your first time watching me or coming across this voice, if you're listening on an audio platform, welcome to the family, girl. Welcome, welcome, welcome. This is a space where we learn, we grow, we become better versions of ourselves one day at a time, one episode at a time. Oh, this is essentially where we come to thrive in our single season and not just survive it, okay? So you will love it here, I promise you. And if you're my returning viewer or returning listener, hey girl, you are welcome again to this episode. I am so glad that you always come back to hang out with me because I love hanging out with you. And brace yourself because today we're going to be having a very, very, very tough conversation, okay? Today we're going to be having a very tough conversation. We'll be talking about your body, your sexuality, and the conversations the church tiptoes around. From all the things I've been saying on social media and stuff, I seem to kind of feel like Christian women, married Christian women for that matter, kind of seem to be competing. It looks like it's a subtle competition for who is the least sexually interested or for who has the lowest sex drive or the lowest libido or something. And I don't know, did I miss the point or something that having a low sex drive or being uninterested in sex become like the signs of a godly woman or become like the signs of a woman who is on fire for the Lord or anything, because I do not understand what's going on. So this conversation has been on my mind for a while, and I've been really finding how I can put it in a good way, because most times I've seen, especially I'll see clips on TikTok or maybe I'm scrolling on Instagram, I've seen it several times where you will see Christian women who are maybe have some positions, maybe a minister or maybe a pastor. Some of them, I've seen some that will sit like maybe in podcast sessions or they're having an interview, and that's making statements like I have a low sex drive, I have a low libido, I have sex because it's my marital duty, I only have sex to satisfy my husband, I only do it for my husband's sake, I only for children and stuff. So, and then people be nodding like it's one of the most holy things the woman has ever said or something. If a woman on the other side is bold about her sexuality, bold that, oh, I love sex, I love having intimacy with my husband, I initiate sex, I enjoy it, and it'll and maybe being bold to have all the conversations around sex, it'll seem like people will be looking at her with a side eye, like she's doing too much, like she's saying too much, or like she's not holy enough. And the truth is there something? Is it that there's a place somewhere that it says that if you love sex, something that God created, even in your marriage as a married woman, then you're not holy enough? Because I promise, I be in my Bible. I don't play with that. But I don't see anything in the Bible that talks about that. So where is all this indoctrination? Where does it come from and all of that? So today we are going to be having a really full conversation around all of these, your body, your sexuality, and this conversation that the church keeps tiptoeing about, because the silence has caused women more harm than good. The silence causes women to go into their marriages with some shame around their body, with some kind of thing that makes them to not be able to express themselves fully, right? So today we'll be talking first about what the Bible says about the woman's body and sex, and where the shame actually came from, where this shame and taboo around that topic actually came from. And then we'll talk about what it means to understand, know your body, understand your sexuality as a single Christian woman without crossing boundaries, without indulging in sexual immorality, and what it means to step into marriage whole and confident in your own self, right? So That's going to be a full conversation, and stick with me to the end and watch all of it, and make sure you contribute in the comment section, right? So if you've watched unto this level, please subscribe, like the video so YouTube can share it with any other person that is seeing this. And also, if you're listening on an audio platform, Spotify or Apple Podcasts, rate us 5 stars and follow so that you stay in touch with the family, okay? So what does the Bible actually say about sex and a woman's body? Let's start there so that we can build on the right foundation, right? Because I feel like the church has always treated sex as a necessary evil, something that should be tolerated, something that is meant for procreation only, and something that godly women, I'm putting godly quote unquote, should participate in without so much enthusiasm. But I feel like that's not what the Bible says. That's not what the Bible says. Songs of Solomon, a whole book in the Bible, it's about the celebration of romantic love, celebration of sexual desire, and it's not even subtle. It's very, very loud, very, very loud. One of my Christian girls the other day, we were doing this accountability thing. We were reading and sharing together. And one of the things we were reading one was Songs of Solomon, and she said she does not like reading this book as a single woman because it's not subtle. It's really, really loud, right? And you see in like Songs of Solomon chapter 3, particularly I think like from verse 1 to 4, the woman actively seeks out her man. She actively searches for him, she yearns for him, and it's not subtle. She's not passive about it, waiting for him to come to her or anything. She searches for him, she goes for it, she initiates, you understand? She initiates it. So like she's not there just passive and all of that. She's a woman who knows what she wants and goes for it. Like you see the celebration of sexual desire between the man and the woman in the whole of Songs of Solomon, right? So I'm not sure where we came from with the idea that it's biblical or godly women should not really like be enthusiastic about sex or anything like that, right? Also, First Corinthians, let me read this for you. 1 Corinthians 7:3-4 says, the husband should fulfill his marital duty to his wife, and likewise the wife to her husband. The wife does not have authority over her own body, but yields it to her husband. In the same way, the husband does not have authority over his own body, but yields it to his wife, right? Do you notice what it says there? It's like says both ways. So the service goes both ways, which means it's not just the wife who is meant to just please the husband and do just to satisfy him, and how she's left unsatisfied and all that. It goes both ways. The husband satisfies the wife satisfies the husband. If it was meant to only be a duty or one-way thing, or just the woman her own part there is just to procreate, this wouldn't have been said in the word of God, right? So it's meant to be enjoyable and pleasurable from both ends, right? From both ends. So there's this quote that I like by Dr. Julie Slattery. It says, God created sexuality as something beautiful, powerful, and holy. When we treat it as something dirty or shameful, we are disagreeing with God. And honestly, I could not agree more, because the church most times have treated conversations around sex or around intimacy like something that is shameful. If you're having a conversation around it, people start whispering, or people start like, it's not supposed to be like that. We are disagreeing with God. We are disagreeing with God. And God created the female body too with intentionality and with pleasure in mind. For example, the clitoris. And yes, I'm going to call a spade because one of the ways to break free from sexual shame is being comfortable addressing the body parts with their proper name. The clitoris has no reproductive function whatsoever. It's not meant to help in putting to bed. It's not meant to help in conception. Its sole purpose is pleasure. And God put it there. God put it there for a reason, for the pleasure. Clitoris is meant to help women experience orgasm or help women experience pleasure when they're having sexual intercourse. And like I said, God put it there, right? And if he did not intend for a woman to be enthusiastic about sex, or if he intended for the woman to be, oh, I'm doing this just to get children or just for my husband, why is he going to put it there? Why is he going to put it there? There will be no reason for that, right? And like the Bible says in Psalm 139, Verse 14, that I will praise you because I am fearfully and wonderfully made. So every part of you was fearfully and wonderfully designed by God for a purpose, for a purpose. So all these things that we are making all of this thing about, oh, the woman and then that, it's not from the Bible. It's not biblical. So where did the shame that women carry around their body and their sexuality actually come from? Because it's so important for us to understand that, because you cannot heal from something you cannot name, right? Historically, this negativity around women and sexuality and all of that, they do not come from scripture, but they come from the writings of like the early theologians or the early fathers, which were greatly influenced by the Greek Stoic philosophy that that bodily pleasure was inherently inferior, right? So they wrote about the woman's body and sex in a way that seemed like something to be avoided, something dangerous, something tempting, and something to be suppressed, right? So it didn't come from the Bible. If you add this to the layer of shame that comes from African culture, in African culture, conversations around sex are considered taboo. And if a woman expresses sexual desire, she's considered promiscuous or immodest. So add this to the church own, and then you have a double layer of shame. Even as an African, you have a double layer of shame around your sexuality that has nothing to do with God, but has everything to do with culture. You understand, right? There's a quote that I like from author and therapist Adesola Ogundimu. I hope I'm calling her name right. It says, many African Christian women carry two sets of chains: the cultural silence around their bodies and the church's silence around their pleasure. Both were built by people, neither was built by God. If you understand this alone, you will know that truly there's so much shame and chains that we are carrying that is crazy. And imagine a girl who grew up in a house where money was considered evil, money was considered a taboo, money was always talked down or not talked about as the root of all evil. Nobody taught her that, okay, money is important. This is how to handle money, especially at some stages of life. Maybe as a child, it might not be that important to you, but as an adult, it is, right? So maybe she grows up now and ends up getting a job, or maybe starting a business, starts making money, and doesn't even know how to deal with it, doesn't even know how to handle it, maybe misuses it. And it's not because she's careless or bad or anything, but because she was never given that right mindset around money. She was always taught the wrong things, and so she carried that even into her adulthood, right? It's the same thing around sex. That's exactly what happens with Christian women around sex. We are not given the right language. We are not given the right knowledge. We do not talk about this. It's considered dirty or considered shameful to really have these conversations. So you see, even Christian women that are grown adults, even married ones get into marriage without the permission, without the language, without the right language, without the right permission, without having the confidence, even in their own body, in something that God put in them. Like, it doesn't make any sense. I randomly sitting here and I'm remembering something that happened. I was with my friend, and then we were hanging out with some of her other friends who were all married. Yeah, I think all of them were married. We're having random conversations in the house, random conversations about various things. And then for some reason, a conversation about sex came up, right? And then all of a sudden, they start to slow down. They start to act all shy. They start to say, oh, we don't want to talk about things like this here with you guys. I hear you and KB, you're not married and stuff. And then my friend and I, it was Mercy. My friend Mercy and I, we look at them and we're like, what in God's name are you talking about? What in God's name are you talking about? The fact that we are not married doesn't mean we cannot have conversations around sex. The fact that we are not married doesn't mean we know nothing on that subject. We study, we read, we know these things. We know these things and we can talk about them because we have grown past that shame, right? We know these things. We are not just practicing yet. Heavy on the yet. We are not just practicing yet. And of course we will practice, but we're not just practicing yet, but that does not mean we don't know nothing about it, right? So they were like, okay. And this is the same thing that we talk about all the time. We talk about all the time because, you see, I always say that it's important to guard your body, keep your body, abstain from sexual immorality, go into marriage as a virgin if possible. But like, it will be a crazy thing. It'll be a really crazy situation, or really disastrous to go into marriage as a naive virgin, as a virgin who knows nothing about your body, who knows nothing about sex, who has read no book on this subject. And it's funny now because there are so many books around women's sexuality from even Christian writers, Christian authors that will help you to know a lot about these things. Intimacy is a very, very vital part, and we expect to have marriages that thrive. The author of the book, The Great Sex Rescue, her name is Sheila Gregoire. She has done extensive research on Christian women and their sexuality. She actually found that many of the teachings that Christian women receive around sex, receive around the sexuality and all of that, they cause more harm than good. Right? They cause measurable harm when it comes to sexual satisfaction in marriage because of the shame, the passivity, the messaging that, oh, do it just for your husband, or do it just to get kids and all of that. All of that didn't produce godly women. It produced women that are disconnected from their own bodies. And that has hurt so many marriages. So yeah, the shame is real, the because of culture, because of religion, but it has nothing to do with God, right? It has nothing to do with God. And now that you're knowing that, it's time for you to unlearn that and learn your own body. Understand your own body, even as a single person, right? So that you do not walk into marriage with shame around something that wasn't meant to be shameful. You can walk into marriage whole. But what does it look like to understand your body without crossing boundaries as a single Christian woman? Because we know that here we promote to sex, we promote abstinence. But how do we understand our bodies even without practicing all of this? Real quick before we continue, today's virtual hug is for Anna Tiku. Anna girl, thank you so much for being part of DSCG community, for always watching, engaging and sharing. I see you, I love you, and I appreciate you. Keep thriving. Back to the video. So let's talk about knowing your body as a single Christian woman. And let's be very clear here, this is not a conversation about crossing boundaries. Like I said, this space promotes sexual abstinence before marriage, okay? So this is not a conversation about crossing boundaries, but it's a conversation about being educated, being informed, knowing the right things, right? Knowing the right things that you should know. Because like I said, it is a disaster to not be informed about how you function, how your body functions, so how desires look like in you, right? So that is what we'll be talking about here. Research consistently shows that women who are more educated about their anatomy, who have good knowledge about their sexual health, report having better sexual health, better sex outcomes in marriage, better satisfaction, better sexual confidence too in marriage, right? A study published in the Journal of Sex Research found that women with greater self-knowledge reported significantly higher sexual satisfaction in long-term relationships. I also love this quote by Dr. Emily Nagoski, who is the author of Come As You Are. She said, "Women who understand how their bodies work are not more sexually reckless. They are more sexually confident, more boundaried, and more able to communicate their needs. Knowledge is not a risk. Ignorance is." Oh my God, I love this so much. Because did you see that part where it said women who understand their bodies and who are more sexually aware are more boundaried? Because knowing yourself, understanding how desire feels like in you will make you to have more boundaries than somebody who doesn't. So it's not like, it's like she says, knowledge is not the risk, ignorance is. And this instantly reminds me of a lot that I saw growing up, that the people who, you see, the girls who had like more knowledge around sex and the real knowledge around sex, they were the ones who preserved themselves. But you see the girls who knew nothing about sex, and when you start talking about something or you start calling something around sex, they're shy, they don't want to talk about it, they're hiding. Those are the ones who got pregnant out of wedlock, mostly as teenagers. Those are the ones who, and promise you, I cannot wait to have a daughter and tell her everything she needs to know about sex as soon as she's old enough to have this information. I will be the one to tell her. I'll sit down with my baby girl and inform her about everything she needs to know about sex, about her body and everything. You see, especially in Africa, they always felt like telling people about sex would be something that would cause people to be reckless or anything. You see, parents would just tell their daughters that, or do not go close to a boy. As soon as you go close to a boy like this, you get pregnant. So they're just like, do not let a boy touch you, even your hand. As soon as a boy will touch you, you get pregnant. That's the wrong knowledge. They don't know nothing about how their bodies are wired. They don't know nothing. They have no knowledge. It's just ignorance. It's just the fear and shame around the subject. And so they go now out there, and maybe a boy tells them something else. The boy will touch your hand and say, did you get pregnant? No. And then I say, you see, I can touch you and you'll not get pregnant. And then maybe start lying to them. Like, I've heard several things out there from young teenagers. You hear boys will tell you that, oh, you're having menstrual cramps, it's because you're not having sex. If you come and I touch you, if you come and I do this to you, you're not going to have menstrual cramps anymore. They have the wrong information from out there, and that's why they end up getting pregnant. Because knowledge is not the risk. Ignorance is. Knowing so much about sex doesn't mean having sex, right? And not knowing about sex is what will cause you to not know what you should do and what you should not do. Here's what I want you to understand, right? Knowing your body, knowing how your body functions, knowing what desires seem like in you doesn't mean acting on every impulse you get or practicing sex right when it's not the time for it yet. For example, a doctor, right? Somebody who is a medical student, who study a lot about the heart, who study every valve, every function, who study all the details about it. But doesn't mean they're setting up themselves to having a heart attack or anything. But they're just preparing themselves so that they can be able to have the right knowledge to properly take care of their own heart and the heart of other people around them, to give you the right information to take care of your own heart, right? It's the same thing with knowing your sexuality, knowing your body and what desire feels like in you. It's the same thing, right? You have to understanding your cycle, understanding the different phases, understanding your hormones, understanding that on several days of your cycle you feel differently than others. Understanding all of those things will not set you up for like maybe practicing or anything. It will set you up in the right direction to really walk into marriage whole, right? Because you should understand these things, because if you do not, you walk into marriage with shame. You walk into marriage without really understanding how desire feels like for you. And if you do that, you would endure intimacy in marriage and not enjoy it. You're going to just be suffering through it. You're either going to hate it, that maybe when your husband wants to touch you, it's now like a chore, it's something that you do not want. You're just, oh, it feels like a whole burden. You're going to resent it, or you're just going to endure it. And neither of that will honor God or honor your husband, because like we said before, it's meant to be pleasurable, right? So what does it look like to practically know your body as a single Christian woman, right? It looks like understanding your menstrual cycle, understanding the hormones in your body, and knowing that desire fluctuates in different phases of your cycle, right? So you should not be shocked like when maybe it's the 14th day of your cycle and you're feeling extra mushy and feeling extra horny and stuff. This even made me to remember something, and I started laughing. Like, I'm just at work on a cheaper Tuesday morning and minding my business or looking for my daily 2K, and then I just all of a sudden, it's just around 8:30 or something, I'm feeling extremely weird down there, and I'm like, what the hell is going on? God, what is this? I'm a single woman, I am at work, what is going on? And then I just pick up my phone and go to the health app on my phone where I log my menstrual cycle and everything. And then I see that, oh, it's day 14. And I'm like, oh, okay, ovulation, them eggs are around. I'm like, okay. So it's important for you to understand your cycle, understand things like this, so that you put extra guards on days like that, because on your ovulation day, you're extremely horny, more than on normal days, right? And these are days that if you do not have extra guards in place, you can easily fall into sexual immorality or fall into sexual sin if you're around a man that you like, right? So it's important. That's what understanding your body looks like. Understanding your body also looks like being able to call the correct anatomical names for your body parts. These things that you're using coded language to refer to things just because you feel like it's dirty, calling it, like, call your vagina. Call it that. Call it exactly what it is. Call it clitoris a clitoris. Exactly what it is. A vulva. It's just this thing that we try to use code language to try to act like, oh, we don't want to call it a penis. Like, be able to refer to the body parts as their anatomically correct name. There's no shame there. There's nothing wrong in that, okay? It looks like reading books on the subject. There are amazing books out there, and several ones from even Christian women that address sexuality, sex, and stuff like this. It looks like being educated. Like, pick up a book. If you're getting into marriage and you've never read a book about sex, I don't know what you're doing. I do not know what you're doing, right? It looks like being comfortable enough to have conversations around sex with friends, with mentors, with anybody without feeling shame. Like, have it like you can have a conversation about beans and bread. Have it like you can have a conversation about food. Have it like a normal conversation. If you're that one who finds a hole to hide, or who finds a place to hide when they start talking about sex, or start feeling shy and hiding, something's wrong with you. Something's wrong. And it also looks like understanding that having sexual desire and feelings, even as a single Christian woman, is totally, totally normal. The fact that you were born again doesn't mean your hormones are born again. It is what you do with those feelings that matter. And that is where your faith, your boundaries, your values come in. But the feelings themselves, totally, totally normal. And in fact, if you're not having sexual feelings or sexual desire, then you should be on your way to see a doctor, because it's not normal. It's not something that you should be proud of and feeling like you're better than others. It's actually something that you should be on your way to see your doctor, because that is not normal, okay? Knowing your body is not sin. It is actually a good foundation for going into marriage whole and healed, right? So let's look at what it means like to actually step into marriage whole. So what does it look like getting into marriage whole? A research by Dr. Jennifer Rosenbaum on sexual preparedness in marriage found that women who entered marriage with shame-based beliefs about their own sexuality were significantly more likely to experience sexual dissatisfaction, difficulty communicating with their partners, and lower overall marital satisfaction. Conversely, women who entered marriage with a healthy, informed sense of their own sexuality reported better communication, higher satisfaction, and a stronger emotional connection with their spouses. Also, I love this quote by Christian sex therapist Dr. Deborah Taylor. It says, "A woman who enters marriage ashamed of her body and her desire cannot fully give herself to her husband. Wholeness in the marriage bed begins with wholeness in the woman." Oh my God, I love this. Wholeness in the marriage bed begins with the wholeness in the woman. If you still feel shame around your own body, shame around your sexuality, shame that if you express yourself fully, or if you tell your husband, "Oh, honey, I like it here, baby, touch me here better," maybe you feel like it's shameful on, you will not fully give yourself to that. And you should be able to communicate your needs. "Oh, I liked when you touched me here, please do more of that." Oh, it's nothing shameful there. It's nothing shameful at all, right? I want to paint a picture between two women. Woman A grew up in the church with this kind of mentality that most people had around not having conversations around sex, or having these shame-based beliefs, or sex is just meant for children, for procreation, and all of that. And they do not really know. They have this shame around sex. They go into marriage, they can barely communicate their needs, they can barely say how they feel or what they want, and then they're just enduring sex. They have a terrible sex life. 10 years later, they are struggling, and because the sex life is not giving what it's supposed to give, now it feels like a chore. They're just managing it. They don't even want to have it. So it looks like their libido is low. Maybe they come on another podcast and they're telling us, "Oh, I have a low libido. Oh, women should not really be so enthusiastic about sex. Oh, a godly woman should not really love sex." And that's not because that's the truth. That's because from the start, in their indoctrination, they were disconnected from their own bodies. They had no knowledge of how to go about it. And that's what 10 years later, 15 years later, 20 years later, the ripple effect of all of that, it's working with them. And then there's woman B, who grew up in church, who loves the Lord with all of her heart, but was at some point got educated about her own body, her sexuality, about what God meant this for, about being okay with wanting having desire for sex, grew up, and then she gets married, and her husband are lending each other's bodies every day, are understanding each other every day, are communicating their needs. They're having bliss in their marriage when it comes to sex, which is actually a very vital part of marriage anyways. Very, very vital. Like, they're having bliss, they're enjoying their intimacy. You see how she glows differently. You see how she's happy. She'll come out there and tell you that marriage is blissful, and she'll tell you that she enjoys it, right? And that's what happens when you have the right knowledge and you have the right information. You see two different women with two different outcomes, one enduring her marriage, but one enjoying her marriage just because of the right knowledge, right? So ask yourself right now, where we are, which woman you want to be, woman A or woman B. You still have time to make that choice. And if you decide to be woman B, which is the best that I recommend for you, then make sure you really get information around sex. Know your own body, study your own body, study sex, study things like this, right? And get unashamed in having conversations around sex. Be able to be comfortable speaking around sex so that you can get into marriage whole. And there's one funny thing that I'll say that may shake tables, but I'm almost in the last thing, so I'll say it anyways. I have this feeling that most people who are ashamed to have conversation around sex are practicing it. I'm talking about single ones. Most single Christian women who are ashamed of having conversation around sex, or when sex is brought up, they start shying away, and they start fidgeting and all of that. They are fornicating. Most of them are fornicating. But you see, the people who are honoring God with their bodies and standing on business, they are comfortable speaking about sex most times. I tell you the truth. I'm telling you the truth. Anyways, don't come for me. I said what I said, though. I said what I said. Dear single Christian girl, your body is nothing to be ashamed of. Your sexuality is nothing to be ashamed of. Having conversations around sex is not a taboo, right? Your sexuality is something that rightly understood and rightly expressed at the right time is beautiful and incredible, and it's a gift from a God who makes no mistakes, okay? I want to leave you with this. Genesis 1:31 says, God saw all that he made and said it was good. And that includes you, includes your body, includes your sexuality, and it includes sex. All of it was good, and God makes no mistakes. This is a conversation that was really that was really challenging to have out here, because I don't know how people are going to receive it or whatever. But I did that. And by the grace of God, I hope that it taught you something. It spoke to you, and it should give you the first step to owning your sexuality, having some confidence around it, studying and becoming the best version of yourself, being prepared to be a wonderful wife when you finally find your man. Okay, so thank you again for hanging out with me today. And please, this is that if you've never shared an episode before, do me a favor and share this one, because this is one of those conversations that every single Christian girl needs to hear. Okay, do me a favor and share this one. Share it with all your Christian friends that you know. Share in your group chats. Share it privately. Have somebody listen to this conversation. Okay. And in the description, I'll be leaving some books that I recommend, right? And please do it to subscribe to our channel on YouTube. Leave your comments, engage with us. You remember I'm giving virtual hugs, right? Comment what stood out to you in this video, where you're watching from, and I'll send you a virtual hug in our next video. And please, if you're following on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, remember to follow us, and also leave us a rating. Rate us 5 stars, okay? If you give anything less than that, what are you doing? Anyways, thank you again for hanging out with me today. As always, I love you and you matter to me. Keep thriving. Until next time. Peace out.